Okay, once we are done with applying the regression technique on the given data, the next thing is for practical applications, we have to validate the model we have developed. So there are some 4 or 5 steps by which we validate a SLR model to ensure its validity and goodness of fit. Of course, we have discussed all of them. First one is coefficient of determination, R square value. So from speaking from the exam point of view, if in the problem, if it's particularly asked to go for a residual analysis to validate the model, so you're only sticking to doing the residual analysis. You don't have to bother about other things like hypothesis test for regression coefficient. But irrespective of whatever it is, you will have to write down a brief summary of R square value, which is directly got in the summary output here for us. So you can see that R square value of 0.039 is got for this particular example what you have taken. So you have to summarize this R square value in about 2-3 lines, irrespective of whatever step of validation is asked in the exam. So just to put it into just to explain this, R square value of 0.039 is actually a very low R square value. And this value is telling you that only 3.9% of the variation happening in the cost of treatment with respect to body weight is explained by the model what we have developed. So that is how you summarize your R square value. And then of course to move ahead with your, I'll not go into hypothesis testing that's been explained in the class. I'll stick to residual analysis in this video. To conduct your residual, the first thing you have to understand, why do we actually conduct a residual analysis. Now residual analysis is conducted to check for the regression model assumptions what we have made. Now before coming up with this equation, we have discussed some assumptions, the main ones being the variables vary linearly with respect to the regression coefficients, that is beta naught and beta 1. So when we write down the equation as y is equal to beta naught plus beta 1x, that condition is taken care of. Then we say that the residuals follow a normal distribution. I hope by this time everyone understands what is a normal distribution. So the residuals what we have developed here in the residual output what we got here, for 120 observations we have developed 120 residuals. So we have an assumption that these residuals follow a normal distribution. And then of course the condition of homoscedasticity, which says that the variance of these residuals is constant for different values of x. In this case it's body weight. So you have to check for these conditions. So in residual analysis, the first one we do is normality test, that is checking for residuals following normal distribution. Now here in Excel, to check for that condition, we actually need a plot between the standardized residuals what we have here. Now we already know how the standardized residuals values are obtained. This is this value minus mean of these residuals divided by standard deviation of the residuals. So we actually plot a graph between standard residuals versus the standardized residuals obtained from a normal distribution, or expected standardized residuals from a normal distribution. That is, if at all these values of residuals had to follow a normal distribution, what should have been the values. So if the residuals had to follow a normal distribution, then that graph will turn out to be linear. Otherwise it will be a non-linear graph which we will obtain. So how to go about things, I'll just show you here. Please follow. So I have obtained the standardized residuals. Just copy that column, copy and paste it. Yeah, paste it here. Okay, I just simply copied the standardized residuals. Then we need to arrange these standardized residuals values in the ascending order of their values, or sort by smallest to largest. So just select the values, right click, and you have sort smallest to largest. So I have just taken the standardized residual values and arranged it in the ascending order. Then give a ranking to it. So this is just 1, 2, 3. No need to write down all the values. Just drag it from here. Okay, and fill series. So I'll get my ranking from 1 to 120. Then the next column will be something called as plotting position. Okay, so this is got by is equal to this rank minus 0.5 divided by 120, which is the number of observations in this particular example. Okay, enter and just drag it. Okay, I hope you get this. Now you have to understand why 0.5 and what exactly is this plotting position giving you. Just to briefly explain you about that. Okay, I hope now by this time everyone understands what is bell curve for a normal distribution. Okay, so now obviously this but I hope everyone by now understands that probability curve is all the distribution curve is always a probability curve. So the area under this is giving you the probability value. So the summation probability value varying from 0 to 1, the summation of the area under this curve is always giving you a value of 1. So to take the mean value, this mean value of the area, so this will be 0.5. Okay, this mean value is 0.5. Now what is exactly this 0.004 telling you? Now this is telling you this for a value of this standardized result minus 1.43. So somewhere here if I write down this minus 1.4, okay, where it starts from here, this 0.004 is giving you this area. Okay. Similarly, the value 0.01, so for minus 1.29, somewhere here if I have to take this is minus 1.29, this 0.01 is giving you this total area. Similarly, for the last value, I think somewhere around 3.125, somewhere here, that value is giving you the total area of this, okay, which is definitely the summation of the area under the normal curve coming up to 1. So definitely you have to obtain the cumulative value should be coming up to 1 right at the end here for a value of 2.94. This value here being 2.94, the cumulative value of this should be coming up to 0.99. That is how that is what the plotting position is giving you. Okay, I hope everyone gets that. Okay, then once you got the plotting position, then you have to get the expected values, expected standardized residuals. You can say expected values or standardized residuals from a normal distribution. If at all it had to follow a normal distribution, what had to be the values? So this, okay, before getting this value, I need the mean and standard deviation of the same. So this will be given by, as you all know, for mean we have the function coded as average of all these numbers and the standard deviation of the same. Okay, so the mean and standard deviation is got. So to get this value here is equal to, we call the function norm inverse. Okay, generally from the values, if you have to plot the probability values, you go for normal distribution. So it's the other way around here, so we call the function norm inverse. So the probability will be this plotting position, comma mean will be this value, comma standard deviation is this one. Okay, so if you by now if you understand how Excel works, now when I go for the when I drag it for all the values for the 273 cell, the probability value will be taken from D273, but we need the values of mean and standard deviation to be taken from L271 and L272 each and every time. That is why we need to log the positions of this mean here, mean and standard deviation. So just by providing a dollar sign like this on the either side, we log the position, we log the cell L271 and 272. Then when I get this and when I drag it, I get the values. Otherwise we will get, if we don't log the positions, we will get an error there. Okay, now we've got the values what we wanted. Now we just need to select the two columns of which plot we need. Control and select. Okay, select this, go to insert, scatter plot, so we get a plot like this. Okay, now if at all this residuals followed a normal distribution, then we would have got exactly, I think this graph here is something. Mm. Go to insert, scatter plot. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. So if at all these residuals follow a normal distribution, then this graph will come exactly linear. Otherwise, we go for a transformation of variables and see if any other functional form gives us a better result. Okay, so that's how you do a normality test. Then in the next video, I'll explain how to check for your homoscedasticity.